Bam. All right, so we're recording now. I'm gonna go ahead, it's 5:01, and thank you for those that got on first. Who was on first? I think I saw Z first and Dennis first, but I'm not 100%. You wanna chime in and tell me who's right?
Yeah, it was me and Z first.
All right, cool.
Z was the
So
first.
Z was the first.
Yeah.
Z, I am not surprised. I am not surprised. So I'm going to do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do an overview really quick on just some tools and tips and tricks and things that you could use. And then if you guys are okay with it, I'll go with Z first, and then just have her kind of give me a rundown on what she would like to know and like how it might apply to her team. And then Dennis, I'll do the same with you. That way you guys can see like a real world application of how to put this together. Everybody cool with that?
Yeah, what if I don't have a team?
You don't have to go if you don't want to. It's okay.
Okay.
However you want to use the time is fine. I just know
Okay.
I put it out there, the first two on. If you wanted it, you got it. If you want to pass, you can pass.
I'll pass to somebody maybe. I'm just here trying to soak it up.
All right, no problem. So Kevin, were you next? All right, silence.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure.
Okay, I think so. Kevin, would you want to have the opportunity to go through task management stuff that might apply to you or your team?
I guess, well, maybe you should put it to someone else. I'm still working on another project, so just to be fair.
No problem. So we'll do Dennis. Dennis, you want to volunteer? We'll do Dennis since you were first too. And then Dennis, if you don't want it, screw everyone. I'm going with Steve. Just kidding. I'm just kidding, you guys. So we'll go through and we'll do that. How about if I just start with the overall first? Let's do that. So I'm going to do a screen share really quick. So I know that Stacy mentioned something along the lines of balancing everything in life. And I usually do a training on what I call like the 5 buckets in life that you're trying to balance your entire life, whether it be business, health and fitness, your mindset, your team, all of those tasks. I always talk about, how to get all of that done. I'm going to share with you just a really quick, you know what? We're just going to open up our life to you really quick. Can you guys see my screen? All right. So this is just a quick document that Stacy and I, when you're in business with your spouse, just anybody, you have to have meetings, right? So we have alignment meetings and we know what we need to do on a regular basis. So daily tasks are pretty much right here, whether it's posting and distributing content or making sure that the schedule is set to do that, because we schedule posts too. Sometimes you'll see a post at 3 in the morning or 5:30 in the morning. It's not really me. I've scheduled that so I could sleep. And then, so just client check-ins, we try as hard as we can to check in with our clients twice a week. So we go through all of these things. These are our daily things that we need to do. Then we have our weekly tasks. I highly recommend if you break this down like this and type it all out. And then, so you have your daily tasks, weekly tasks. Bi-weekly is like every other week we have to do certain things. And then monthly, we record our rents, do all of our bookkeeping. We have the charge on cards. We make sure that the recurring payments go out. Stacy does her hair every 6 to 8 weeks. I'm sure that applies to you, Dennis. And then, and then quarterly, the things that we're doing to manage the business too. So when it comes down to it, then we take out on our calendars, we block off the time. So, my calendar doesn't really start for business functions until 10 a.m. because my morning routine is like from 6 o'clock in the morning until basically 10. I'm doing stuff with the kids, doing stuff with the gym, doing stuff with mindset, getting my whole day rocking and rolling. And so I do client stuff from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Mondays. And then this is what it looks like on, in the evening time. So we kind of do a split shift and we rotate who gets to pick up the kids. So, we literally have every single task in life just outlined. And then we make notes to each other about, hey, maybe I should do this. Maybe I should put it on this day. Maybe I shouldn't do that. And if you do this, you can literally book it out and look at so I work harder than Stacy. I just want everybody to know that's on record. She has it here. It's 32 hours is mine and she gets 30.5. But, this is hella awesome considering that we have 4 businesses and 4 kids. And this is how much focused time we spend together. Now, for one person, that would be 62.5 hours in a normal work week, but we tag team it together. So when you use that divide and conquer strategy, people always wonder, how in the hell do you guys get so much done? And this is how we do it. We balance it all out like that. So I would say the first thing you should do is go through and literally do a data dump on all of the tasks that you have to do in order to function in life. And when I mean life, I'm talking like kids, spouse, fun, everything. And then figure out what it looks like for your business. What are the things you need to do for business also? Does that make sense? Hold on. I have somebody needs to be muting. Hold on. Who is that? Batel, I got you, Batel. I just muted you. No offense, sweetie. Okay. Now, from here, I want to go and show you a different one. So stop sharing that. So that's just a recommendation to go through and list out every single task that you have, okay? And after you do that, group it by week, bi-weekly, monthly, quarterly, all of those things. And then once you have that, you can sit down and on a calendar figure out where does everything fit in. So that's the first step. Then once you know where everything fits in, I highly recommend this one. So this is a little trick. Now, some people, I'm going to show you two different ways. Some people are old school and use just like this. Because sometimes I'm one of those people, but using this guy right here, like a big old daily planner, right? You just write that shit down. You're old school. You want to be, you know, like Fred Flintstone, chisel it in the rock, whatever you got to do to keep yourself on track. Other people are like spreadsheet gurus and want to put it all in here. So I put this up here for, this is something that you might see Stacy doing, like typing in, okay, lead generation. When it comes to your portfolio task management, how can I put this thing up here? Technology is not my favorite. Okay. When you are doing that, maybe I could just put it over here because I don't really care if I see. Okay, so when you're doing this on your portfolio task management, you're looking at all of the tasks that you need to do like every single day in order to move the business forward. So when I show you here, it's like, these are the activities. You have lead generation, and it's all going to depend on what part of the business you're spending the most time in. So if you're brand new and you're just trying to find your deals, you're probably going to spend a lot of time in lead generation, deal flow, and analyzing. And if you don't have a deal yet and you don't have any properties yet, you're probably going to want to do that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You get the deal, right? You're going to mark it off in terms of, did I do that today? Because you're going to plan that task. So if you don't have a lot of properties and you're trying to get them, these first 4 columns are where you're going to burn the most calories trying to get that business in for you. So the lead generation, making those phone calls out to realtors to get your team in place, and really just setting expectations. Wow. Okay. Really just setting the expectations with those realtors on what types of properties do you want them to be sending to you? How do you want the comps broken out so that it's easy for you to read? Because you want to get into the zone where you're able to make deals or make offers quickly. So you're going to be getting those relationships, making phone calls to realtors, getting them on your team, having them go out and looking for the properties, and then sending them back to you so that you can literally get into a deal flow, analyze, and whether or not you're going to make an offer and calculate that offer quickly. I'm telling you, that is a secret sauce in and of itself, because the person you're competing out there with to get deals is unfortunately Stacy, and she can calculate a deal on the back of a napkin or even carry the one in her head. So the faster you learn how to analyze a deal and calculate an offer on the spot so that you can just get with your realtor. Our realtors in the past, they historically have just had the green light to make the offer pretty quickly for us. So that's how ironed out we have that process. So you want to get yourself into that good of a process where you know exactly how to calculate what's the offer that's going to get me the biggest bang for my buck, because you don't really want to overpay if you don't have to, right? Then let's just say you got through it, you're doing your due diligence, you made your offer, the offer was accepted, now you're in due diligence and you want to do all of those tasks so that you have it all done and you know that everything is all lined out so that when you get to closing, you know all of those closing tasks. And once it's closed, then of course you're going to move into the renovation side. And on the renovation side, it's going to be things like, okay, I need to talk to my contractor. And do I do that every day? You might, it depends on how big the renovation is. So for example, when I was doing a lot of ours, I was talking to the contractor every single day. And that's because at one time we had 6 of them going at once. So I might be talking about, you know, one property with him on one day, and he's showing me Marco Polo videos of that. Because when you invest remotely, you do have some securities, and there's a lot of technology out there that helps you with that now. And one of our biggest tricks has been using Marco Polo. So if you don't know about that app, get it. We usually will create a team string on Marco Polo. And when I'm talking to the contractor, or I'm talking to the realtor, the inspector, or shit, even the stager, the company that comes in and stages it for, that's more for flips, but they stage it so that we could sell it. Like I have everybody all on one string, and we're doing videos with each other, and they're showing me, okay, I'm looking at my scope of work, and I'm seeing that this is supposed to be done. Like we should be on plumbing, should be wrapped up, and we should be doing these things right now. But I just saw that Marco Polo, and it looks like we're behind. So walk me back to that room really quick, and let's talk about that. So there's all kinds of things during this renovation. Once you're in renovation and you're trying to get it so that it's rent ready, the way that you want to do that is you want to use some visual tools. So you want to put on here, okay, on a Monday morning after the weekend has come and gone, I want to see how much work got done over the weekend. Let's hit the ground running. Let me contact that contractor and get that out there and get that Marco Polo going. And then sometimes you might want to have your realtor go there too, and an inspector. So there's a process that you can follow to make sure that everything stays the course, and you don't have anybody kind of like hands off and telling you one thing, but it's really not happening. So there's ways to control that. And then, so once you're out of the renovation stage, and I know that I've done a project management task list on this class before, showing you how I personally managed it. Then you get into that renting tasks, right? So here's how I'm going to go through and get all the, how am I going to find my property manager? What's that going to look like? How are they going to get the place ready? How are they going to do showings? What is that going to look like to qualify the applicants, and then get them qualified and get them in? And there's this little thing called Rent Guard that protects you, that, you know, Stacey could probably talk about that another time. Then you get through there and you rent it out, and then it's coming time where you're working on some things to get your credit back up and pop everything into place so that you can get through the process of refinancing and then going through that process. So knowing that you have whatever phase of life you're in for your portfolio, and now when things get crazy, like they did for us, I told you we were doing 6 properties at one time. I mean, I had tasks for 6 different properties that were still over here from closing to refi, right? I might have had like 6 over there, but I would still have another shit coming in, right? So I still had tasks over here. So now what do you do with all of this? It's probably the best question that anybody could ask, because yeah, you can sit here like the best of them and type out all this crap. Like, I'm going to get, the realtor is going to give me leads, and I'm going to look at them, and you're like going to put all this stuff in here. But then what do you do with it, right? That's the next thing I want to share with you. You take those items, and if you go, I don't know if anybody's heard of Trello, but I use Trello. So if you go into Trello, I have all these boards in here. I'm just going to pull one up and show you. So let's just say, like, you can do it where I have my sales team has its own board. I have my client board for we have business consulting. So these are all of my clients that I do consulting with that's outside of real estate. I have our mastermind group where people are signing up for that, and we're adding on what they're doing. And then we have our sales team, and I can go in here and delegate stuff to them throughout the week. So let's just say this was, let's create it. You know what? Screw it. Let's create a new board. Where are you at? Oh God, now it's going to be all crazy with me. So I create this new, you can create team boards, right? So let's just say tacos. Yeah, that sounds good. Is it Tuesday? No, it's Wednesday. No, is it Thursday? It's Thursday. I don't know what week it is, but let me tell you how to manage your schedule. Let's just say you have a portfolio. Let's just say this is your team. So it's like your renovation team, or I would even say it's like, let's just say there's a few properties that have the same general contractor. So for me, that would have been an Indy. So the Indy portfolio team, right? And then let's just say the team description here would be something like the realtor, contractor. And then on top of that, when you're going and you have the property manager eventually, right? And then you also want the trades. So I personally have in our market, so I'm just going to pretend like we're adding people here. I'll add Stace. invite her to the team. Now I can create a board, and I come in here and I'm just going to say it's the Indy portfolio team. And we're even going to call it the team tasks. We create that board. So now we're going to say I have one property there. Let me start. I'm a OCD person. So I have one property there. This property is in that portfolio, right? And then I have this one's also in that portfolio. Then I have, oh God. What, tuxedo, what'd you say? 1025. I can never remember tuxedo, and how funny that she knew what I was talking about. So, and then, oh my God, babe, what, oh yeah, only, thank you. I don't know the numbers, guys, so just forgive me. I don't know them all by heart. There's too fucking many. Okay, so let's just say, for shits and giggles, I'll just disclose with you right now that 1553 Leonard is the bane of my goddamn existence. So there's a problem in this house right now, and I'll just break this out for you. So I have been working with a problem in this house with heat, and specifically we have some sort of a leak coming from the kitchen where there was not enough insulation around one of the doors. Okay, now I have taken out the damn floor. I have taken off the siding of this house. I have insulated with spray foam. I have done every damn thing you could think of except remove the kitchen counters and figured out if there's a hole back there. Well, we find out that when we did the renovation, there is a spot where there was an old door that went outside and it didn't get sealed completely. Okay, so there's a heating issue. Tenant is complaining of not enough heat in this area. It's like the thermostat is set at 70 and it's 42 degrees at his house. And as you can imagine, as a landlord, I want to fix that for him like pronto because I'm not a slumlord. So the first thing I want to do is, so that I know that there's a heating issue at Leonard. So I dispatched our HVAC guy. His name is Bob. So I sent Bob over there. And now I would highly recommend to anybody that has a rental portfolio, you want to go 3 deep on every trade. So if you have an HVAC, you need to have 3 HVAC guys, because I'm telling you what, was it last winter, babe? The polar vortex, I wanted to shoot myself in the face, guys, especially in Indy. The polar vortex, like all of a sudden we had pipes freezing and busting, and well, so did everybody in Indy. So all of the trades were busy. Well, if we didn't have 3 deep, we would have been in a lot of trouble. So, and I learned that very painful lesson, so I'm gonna teach it to you now. Always have 3 deep, just in case. You never know what might happen, and the first one might be busy, and then you might find the second one is busy, but the third one is sitting at home watching football like, oh yeah, I'll go handle that for you. So we have 3 deep when it comes to HVAC, electrical, plumbing, just general work like handyman stuff. So we sent Bob out there, and we asked him to go take a look at it and just make sure, like, what does it look like? Are there registers open? Are we getting enough airflow? Just really problem solving, right? So I assigned some stuff to Bob to go do that. And then I actually asked the tenant for help recording some stuff and sending me a video. And then also the property manager has to be involved here. So you would want to know those specific tasks. What did you ask him to do? So let me add that. So for Bob, I asked him to balance the system, and I specifically wanted him to look at the thermostat and make sure, like, is the thermostat even working? Is it taking and registering the actual temperature? And is it kicking on properly? Because if it's a thermostat issue and it's not an airflow issue, ironically, I'm going to be more pleased. So I don't have to tear down a freaking wall, even though I ended up having to do that. So now on 1615 Leonard, this is my favorite house. Quite frankly, I don't know what is wrong. There's really nothing wrong there except for the lease is almost up, right? So we need to work with the property manager to start soliciting and getting leads out there for, right? So we need to market that. Oops. Market to rent. There's going to be another task because we're going to have to turn it around so that we could rent it again. So the turnaround functions, and I'm going to assign that. That's basically, I know, whoops, crap, sorry guys. I know that the property manager will handle that for me. So you just write down who it is that you're delegating it to, and you can actually invite them. You saw me invite Stacey to this board. You can actually invite them to do this board with you so that they're a part of it. And as you assign these tasks, it will notify, and then they know, oh shit, I got to get that done. But we also have our own database, like our maintenance database. Our tenants fill out when there's a problem. So our property manager knows when there's little things like this happening. But when there is a bigger problem that is outside of the scope of that, that's when Trello kind of steps in. Some of you might be wondering, why in the hell are you doing this instead of just having a maintenance system? We do have the maintenance system, and sometimes things just get more serious. As you can imagine, we practically tore this house up. So these are just kind of like the team tasks on the things that we're renting. And then as we're going through, I want to check in and assign things to the contractor as they're working on 1025 Tuxedo. We had a roof. We had to do the roof replacement there. That was always fun. But the good news is now every property we have in our portfolio has a brand new roof for the next 30 years. So in my opinion, that's a win. In Stacy's opinion, because it happened all too close together, which can happen, right? That's like the risk you run. So what I want to do now, I'm going to stop sharing. And how about Dennis? Do you want to come on? And where are you? There you are. I see you. Dennis, I know that this is small time compared to you. You're in the middle of buying a hotel, but I mean.
Yeah, but I'm just still kind of jumping in. We're still building our team.
Okay.
You know, we got 2 people on our team right now. I got my main business partner, and then he's got a lady that kind of does all our back end paperwork, spreadsheets, all that stuff. And we each play our role. You know, I mean,
yep.
Jumping in, but we are kind of jumping in right now. We are working on the biggest project I've ever even considered taking on, almost $9 million hotel, that we in the next, by Monday or Tuesday, we should have an LOI out on it. So kind of excited.
That's awesome. So Dennis, what is your approach as you went through and you did that and you went through that, and I know you were trying to find investors that were going to plug some money into that. How did you approach the project management side of it and the task management? And is there anything that we might be able to talk about?
Well, I had the deal handed to me and my business partner, and I mean, really, whether you're looking at an apartment building, a hotel, it's all numbers. You know, do the numbers make sense or don't they? And you know, we're getting a good enough deal on this hotel that they've really made sense. And I'm pretty good with numbers. I always have been. So being able to take the numbers and really take a couple minutes, break them down, and whether it's something we even want to put through our deal analyzer or not at that point, I'm pretty good with that. And I have 20 years in the construction and trades, you know, so being able to do my due diligence, walk the properties, and and building the relationships in the area that we are looking in is my absolute superhero moment, I guess. We went out and we spent the day in a local town here that we are going to be doing a lot of investing in, and just did my thing all day long, made some amazing connections. You got to be able to get out there and just knock on doors and be able to walk up to people and talk to people to be able to get really where you want to go and what you want to get to, in my opinion. You know, got a connection actually even in the process yesterday. We got a bunch of properties that we were off market deals that we're now skip tracing and getting to the owners on. And really being able to get out there. You know, my task in the team is really getting into the areas, finding the markets we want to be in, and building the relationship in those markets that we need. You know, and running the numbers. You know, my other 2 partners are good with numbers, but they're better with putting it through the analyzer and really, you know, stress testing the numbers and breaking down and seeing where we can gain. And, you know, as a construction guy, I know where to gain when it comes to the physical building itself. But they're better with the numbers on the back end to really figure out where else we can do it as well.
Yep.
You know, my part, I guess, is I'm used to swinging a hammer. I've been doing construction for 20 years. I was never a big team guy. You know, I love people. I love training people. I love being a coach. But I was never a huge just wanting to bring people into my company and be a part of my company. And that's really what real estate is about. It's a team sport. And embraced that. The last year has been awesome. There's been ups and downs. Obviously, sometimes business relationships are like marriages.
Totally.
and they can end really bad. You know, and there's been a couple of those here this year. It's been a couple of tough times, but man, this last year has been awesome. But you know, how do you find your team members that you're looking for, and how do you guys really break down a deal? You know, I haven't really got into the multifamily space. I just do my things so far. I've done a lot of learning over the last couple of years. I'm good with numbers, so I'll take the numbers I have, I'll punch them, and I'll know whether it's something I want to even consider or not, and then hand it to the rest of my team. But I mean, that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, that's good. So yeah, for us, when we pick a market, we research that, we analyze the market, and we determine, are we going to enter that market? And we look at it in terms of, now, are the days on market, is it growing, or is it steady, or is it going down? Like, is it going like hotcakes? Like, what does the market actually look like? We do a lot of analysis on that. Is there a lot of upside? Is there, potential gentrification that could happen and take place? And so when it comes to apartments, for us, we look at, is it performing? We look for not necessarily a distressed apartment, right? That's not the word I would use. I would use non-performing. So the occupancy is low. The rents are like, there's upside in the rents because of the market and what it's probably going to pop and do. And if there's an opportunity for us to kind of step in and figure out, well, how can we put some systems in place and some property management processes in place, increase the way that this building performs by filling it, so we get the occupancy up to 90-95%, and then slowly introduce over a course of time rent rate increases that's proportionate. So like, as
3% or something every year.
What's that?
You guys just do like a standard 2 or 3% every single year then, or?
It all depends, because if there's an opportunity there, yeah, but if there's not, and it might decrease occupancy, then we might not. But to me, yeah, I always feel like it pretty standard. It should be 3% just over time. It makes sense. But if you look at it and it's like, oh, that doesn't make sense right now, and we hold off. But our biggest thing, and what we try to do, is we try as hard as we can to have leases, especially if it's a tenant that is a good tenant, has really good rent history, they're paying on time, and they want to stay there. I want to try as hard as I can to keep them there without abusing them and keep increasing their rents, because to me, the turnaround factor, the turnaround cost, I want to minimize that as much as possible. Yeah. So we try to get, when we have a good tenant in there, we try to get them in for like, a 24-month lease if we can. Yeah. And try to go that route. But yes, so to answer your question, we'll put those in place, and that's how we analyze if we're going to go after that type of multifamily deal. What we do is, once we have the team in place, we have meetings established, and it's something that I would recommend for each of you. Dennis, you nailed it on the head when you said that this is a team sport. Everybody has a role, and everybody needs to stay in their lane as much as possible, because that's what we've hired them for, or that's what we're working with them for. So if it's the plumber, I'm not trying to have him put the fucking windows in, excuse my language, but I want him to stay in his lane. I'm going to stay in mine. The realtor knows what's going to sell, and so it's just, everybody brings to the table what they bring. But I personally would meet with the contractor. So if I look at the beginning of that deal, before I even hire them, I'm looking at their scope of work when it's going to come to the renovation, because I want to get it rent ready, but I also want to have high finishes and make it look like it's a good place to live, depending on, what the situation is. I want to try to maximize the rent with as little effort or money going into it as possible. Right. So I have a meeting with the contractor, look at the scope of work, and then I look at what their bid says they're going to do. Then I take those items and have a call and talk about, okay, so you say that this group of things is going to happen out. What point can I imagine that was? That week 2, week 4, week 6, like what week? And then damn straight, as soon as week 6 comes, I'm like, well, what about this? What about that? What about this? Are we on track? And you have to do that. If you do that work up front, guys, if you do that work up front and have those really good discussions and just full transparency of, hey, I want to stay on task, and I want to make sure we get it rented soon, because the mortgage is going to be due on it whether you're done renovating it or not, right? So
I do the exact same thing. Even back in the day when I was just a contractor myself, keeping notes, a journal, about what we talk about, because when we take the control of the property into our hands as we purchase the property, well, whether it's us or our business and our team, you know, we can control ourselves. We can, as a community or a team, control each other and what the outcome is, but we can't control outside forces. So being able to hold people to what they say is huge. It
is huge. And also not beating them up about it, but just like, hey man, the faster we get this done, the faster I can get another property, and then the faster I can get you out to it. Because the whole intent is that as a team, we're going to continue just pilfering properties and like making them great and putting people in them and making communities better, right? And if we do it, the faster we do it and with the most speed, efficiency, and ease, like the better it is for everybody. So yeah, I do that in the beginning. So I recommend to everybody, just get with your contractor, get your scope of work, and then figure out how they're going to break it down week by week. And just have an honest conversation as you're hiring them with, hey, we're going to need to communicate pretty frequently. And what I'd like to do is spend like an hour and a half and break down when you think each thing is going to be done, put it in a little plan, and then we'll talk every week saying, hey, how are we on this? And then, hey, send me a Marco Polo video of it being finished so that I can see it with my own eyes. And then on the side, okay, the realtor is going to also go in and see, is it going? And then property manager, realtor or property manager, depending on if you're going to flip it or if you're going to hold it, they can go in and see with their own eyes, oh yeah, okay, we're on pace to start showing this thing, right?
Well, and you guys do a lot more investing outside your area, do you not?
That is what we specialize in. That if you tell me, hey, I live in San Diego and I want to invest in San Diego, I'm gonna be like, ugh, okay, you know. There's just so much capital you got to put up front for very little return. Long term, I get it. You know, there's equity in California. It'll grow on a long enough timeline, but you could just get, I mean, we made a lot of money doing it remotely. So what we teach is remotely. Like, I've never stepped foot in any of my properties. I just have systems to help see what's going on so that I'm still there without being there.
That's awesome.
So I wanted to just get on here and share with you guys, like, if you want to balance life and tasks and what you're doing in general, just make a laundry list of everything that you have to do within, you know, your family, your personal life. And then if you are in the real estate like space and you want to try and figure out, okay, I'm starting to acquire properties, or I already have properties, what are some things that I could do to help manage that? And when you're in renovations, you know, make sure that you're talking to your contractor, finding out that scope of work, getting it all listed, put it in a plan, and then make sure you have a meeting frequency with them throughout the entire renovation. So there's a meeting frequency and a meeting cadence that we're just going to go through all the time and talk about, all right, we're on week 2. These are all the things that are supposed to be done on week 2. Are they done? Yes or no? And then in some cases, if you're using hard money lender, you have to know and prove whether or not they're done before the next draw request can be submitted and you get the next release of funds. So, you know, the contractor's really incentivized that if I'm going to give you the money and pay you to get the next thing done, I need to get these pictures in place. I need to prove that the work was done so I can get the next draw request. So it's really in everybody's best interest. And I'll tell you, I spent 22 years in corporate America. And the moment I started, and I left there and resigned and came to real estate, and I realized very quickly that people were no longer incentivized to do what I asked of them, because it wasn't like it was contingent for employment. In real estate, they're just like, yeah, screw you, I'll go find somebody else to be a contractor for. Or, hey, I don't care if I don't have to be a realtor, I don't have to do these things, right? So you have to find the win-win for everybody involved. And in this case, when you're building a team and you're like a money-making machine, and that contractor knows, well, shit, Dennis is going to come around with another $9 million hotel. I want to make sure I do right by him. Or, oh, Batel's going to be coming. I already know she has 7 properties. She's just about to get 7 more. I want to make damn sure that I'm the one she chooses. Like, when everybody has an exchange, there's one thing. Okay, I'm going to just be honest. Like, my favorite movie of all time is The Godfather. Okay, it's Godfather Part 2. And you can learn everything you need to know about life by watching this movie. But what he says is, like, people are loyal based on what's good for them, based on what is best for them. And when it comes to a contractor or a realtor or anybody else in this industry, they're going to do right by them. So that's the way you need to communicate to them. And the whole reason why everybody's in it is to get money, to get paid. So when you point out that, oh, I intend to be here for a while, and I intend to keep flipping things, and I intend to bring properties to you, and like, I'm just gonna keep going and rinse and repeat, and we could either do this together, or I could find somebody who's a little bit more interested in doing it long term. And when you approach it that way, people are just more motivated to keep working with you, and there's a mutual respect and transparency and communication. So
right. And I've been going through the same thing. Like, we just spent the last few days in a town, you know, and it's really getting in, talking to a lot of people on the Rotary, on the councils,
yes,
board, geological, everything in the, you know, a lot of places in the courthouse we were walking through and talking to everybody, title companies, like you say, realtors, brokers, management, trades, construction, talking to everybody you can that could even be a possibility to, you know, be coming in, because you want to build those relationships so you know what kind of prices it's going to cost up front before you even get into anything, and you have that relationship so maybe they can drop it down a little bit too if they know there's going to be a flow of
yes,
work coming to them from you.
that's exactly the case. And when they know there's going to be a flow, that's the key.
Like yesterday, I just met the lady yesterday. She's going to do a lot of our title work over there. But she lined us up on 2 properties yesterday that I talked to 100 people yesterday. Nobody said anything about, they said about some things about other properties, but this title lady, like, and I did this back home too. Title people know where the properties are at.
Oh yeah.
You know, especially if you get into that, like a little town, man, them are the ones I like to go to first. And she lined us up on a couple of deals yesterday that we are skip tracing right now that I'm super excited about. They're vacant, but that's
awesome.
Around right now.
That's awesome. That's cool. Well, hopefully this is helpful. Does anybody want to unmute, ask any questions? Got a couple more minutes. Anyone? It just reminded me, I showed my kids the Ferris Bueller Day Off movie the other day. Everybody is satisfied?
No, I'm not. Hello, everybody.
I'm not.
With that last minute thing, which y'all just said about the title companies knowing a lot about properties. So would you guys suggest like to get listings from a title loan company?
I've never done it that way. Dennis, you can chime in on that. I've never personally done it that way. I know.
I'm a huge relationship guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, relationships, in my opinion, are the absolute new currency.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether that's like yesterday, I just met this lady. I was just building the relationship. We kind of hit it off a little bit, and we're talking about this town because we want to know what we can bring into the town. We're buying businesses,
right.
We're buying raw land, we're buying houses, multifamily storage units. We're buying all sorts of stuff up right now. Because we're kind of doing like a little mini town takeover because of what we project and expect over the next 3 to 5 years. You know, and part of that is building those relationships. We don't know everybody and everything going on in that town, and we're just getting into the town. So it's the people that are dealing with the real estate every single day. If you're getting into real estate, that's who you want to talk to. If you're getting into something else, you're going to want to talk to somebody else. But obviously, this is real estate. We just went there. She gave us a couple of general places, like it's over here somewhere. And we went over there, looked at it. We got the addresses off of it. We talked to some of the neighbors and got a ton of information. But it's those relationships. If I wouldn't have went in there and talked to her, said a little bit of my story, listened to her story, and really talked about what was going on with her, I never would have got that. You know, I had to go in there and put the time in with the person and build that. And it was our first meeting, which is awesome. Like, I just think, what else could this relationship bring me in the future? It's those relationships. It's really, and I'm reading a book right now too, Willpower Doesn't Work. And it really dives into environment. Mm-hmm. And that is a big part, I believe, in relationship too. It's your environment. We control our environment and who's in it and who do we want in it and who can, I mean, really be a little bit selfish, because who is going to help me to get to me where I want to go? And yeah, I'm being a little selfish in one hand, but at the same hand, I want to bring everybody with me as I go up. And it's building them those relationships that are going to help me to help them. And it's both ways. You can't just expect everything to be coming towards you. You have to be able to put out in return. To be able, and part of putting out might just be listening. That, you know, there's so many people out there right now that don't listen, period. I mean, if you can just go into a conversation and just be kind and listen, things will happen, you know?
Yeah. So to answer your question, you know, there's so many different ways to acquire properties. And I'll tell you that our relationships with city inspectors, with other people in other markets, have got us out of a few jams, right? There's just been a little bit of grace given because we established a relationship with somebody that was a critical piece of that community's puzzle. So I would say that I've never approached a title company to find a property. I would say that I'm not opposed to it. I just haven't done it before. But I will also say that, you know, the relationship piece of once you get in this, and it's kind of like you're building a family, right? Like my property manager, my realtors, I know when their birthday is. I know when their anniversary is. Like, it's family. And so you're better off getting into those types of relationships and knowing, because you never know who knows who. And I was surprised on quite a few occasions where we ran into like a permit issue that was able to be just relieved because of somebody that we knew who knew somebody else that could impact it. So just always have your ears open when you're talking to people and do that relationship.
Can I add a bit to that?
Sure.
You know, I love that. And part of it is like, even me with the title lady yesterday, I didn't go in there looking for real estate.
Right.
I didn't at all. Like, it wasn't even a question on my mind. I just went in there being me. You know, there's a lot of people, a lot of relationships you'll build that have so many more connections and things you don't know about. That's why you need to learn about the people and listen, because there's more that people have on the table than you will ever see that they show.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
That's all I got.
Oh, good. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Thank you for the questions and thank you for chiming in. Anybody else have any questions? Patel, you're quiet.
Thank you for the remarks.
Absolutely. Patel, you have any questions out there? I know you're working with that first deal. I'm going to put you on the spot and ask. If you don't, it's okay. Don't be shy. She's quiet. She has 2 kids, so they're probably bothering her and pulling on her right now. All right. Well, I hope that this was helpful. I wanted to just give you some tips on how to take that macro level of everything that you got to do and then try to break it down, funnel it into specific steps, and then like how to delegate it out and some of the tools that you can use to do that. So, you know, there's Trello out there, there's Asana, there's all kinds of different things that you could use to manage your team and keep everybody on the same page. I just happened to show you Trello because I use it. But I think we're actually going to be shifting to Asana pretty soon. And so, yeah, that's good stuff. All right, guys. Well, I hope it all is going well for you. And I appreciate you joining in with me here.
Thank you, ladies.
And we'll post this later on the page. And I appreciate it. Thank you, Shaka. Have a good night, guys.
Hey, you too.
Y'all too.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you.